I know you're about that podcast life. Like it seems like every day you're putting out a new one, so it's nothing strange to you now.
I've been doing season previews every day in March for baseball,
Oh
and
gosh.
it's March 25th, and I'm ready for it to be over because it's been a lot. But yeah, you said March Madness, Villanova basketball, and baseball, and those are my three favorite things. So that's perfect.
That's why I came to you. Guest is a Villanova Wildcat, a fellow must-love sports alum. If we ever really graduate, I think we're kind of must-love sports for life. I'm not sure. A former Blue Wire podcast intern and employee, host of her own. It's the amazing Did You Hear podcast. If you haven't checked it out, you should. One of the most intelligent and knowledgeable sports people I know. If she's not an MLB insider in a few years, then there's no hope in this world. The brilliant Emma Houghton, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Noah. Wow, that is very, very nice. I hope I am half of any of those things that you just said in a few years.
You're all of them and more. Don't humble yourself.
Thank you.
I guess I'm just honestly a little confused. So I know you intern with Blue Wire. Are you like working there full-time, part-time? What's that deal like right now?
Yeah, so technically it wasn't even an internship. So right when we had, I don't know, you remember Kevin Jones coming on one of the Must Love Sports presentations, and then I just reached out to him. It was probably October, and he was in the early stages of creating a program called Blue Wire Hustle, and it was really the first of its kind. It's a podcast incubator where anybody can start a podcast, which is what I did, or if they have an existing podcast, they can bring it over to Hustle. You get new artwork, you get the community, all that. And I was kind of the first hustler, so I was able to start the podcast through then. And then I also do some internal work, helping with recruitment efforts and just trying to get the community as big as possible.
Okay. And are you still currently doing that? You're still with them?
Yep. Yeah.
That's awesome. Is it all kind of digital, all online, or is it any in person?
It's all remote. So they actually, Blue Wire is growing at an incredible rate. They just had a partnership with Win in Las Vegas. So they're creating a recording studio in a hotel in Las Vegas, partnering with Win, and it's going to blow up. They just signed former The Ringer employee Haley O'Shaughnessy. So she's doing a podcast with Blue Wire now. They just got somebody from NFL Network, Colleen Wolfe. So they're kind of getting all these people, bringing this whole thing together. And I'm not going out to Las Vegas, but it's been fun just being behind the scenes and seeing this company really just explode. It's so well deserved.
Oh no, I mean that's awesome. Obviously, I see a bunch of your stuff, but I've been seeing kind of the Blue Wire brand pop up in places I wouldn't expect.
Totally.
I mean, it's funny. I know the one podcast that you guest on and promote a lot are two Penn Staters, David Arroyo, and I forget who else is on that with him.
Tom
Shively, yeah.
Shively, yeah. Do you know them from school?
I'm not well, but I did know them from school, so it's kind of funny.
So funny.
I saw the names and I was like, wait a minute, I know those guys.
Yeah, they're great.
Yes. And so is that what you're doing kind of full time right now?
Yeah, so I'm doing podcasting as most of my time, and then I also have a part-time job at a startup sports betting company called Simple Bet. So that's really cool too. I track NFL games during season, currently NBA, and then we start MLB next week, obviously, tracking games, and then we have betting markets open, and I make sure that the live data that comes in results the markets correctly.
That's pretty neat. You are in the two kind of pioneering industries of sports, podcasting and sports betting. That's sports betting. Where the future is. So
yeah, and I'm getting paid right now to watch games, so it is a pretty good gig.
There's nothing better than that, honestly.
Nope.
Well, speaking of watching games, a lot of games last weekend, a lot of games coming up this weekend. Give me I know you talked about it a lot on your own podcast, but in a few sentences, give me the rundown of that crazy, almost to me, a little more maddening than normal March Madness starts the tournament.
Yeah, so I think we got a pretty good taste of it the first four in. The 4 games on, well, first 4 obviously on Thursday night, I think it was, and they were so much better than anybody expected. And then the first game in the round of 64 was the Florida Virginia Tech game that went into overtime on a game-winning basket to send it to overtime. So I think if that was any indication of what we were going to get for the entire weekend, it pretty much set us up for madness, to be cliche. But it was just so fun. I think people missed the action so much from last year. And I've talked about it a lot. The quality of the games were so good. Besides the last day, there were a few blowouts in the round of 32, but otherwise, I mean, you had upsets, you had good teams showing why they're so good, and Gonzaga and the Baylor and the rest. But it was just fun to see teams out there, and I think the bottom line should be, even if it's going to ruin your bracket, I think you should be rooting for the underdog, and that happened a lot.
Always got to root for the underdog. How is your bracket looking, and how many brackets do you have?
I have about 5 or 6.
Oh my god.
So I have Gonzaga in all of them winning, so I'm fine there. I had Oklahoma State making it to the championship in a few. I had Illinois making it to the championship in a few. I have Arkansas beating Baylor in 1. So I'm thinking maybe that could still happen.
Okay, that's possible.
And then this week will be big for me because I have Michigan going down. I have Alabama in. I have Houston still in. We'll see. How is yours?
Okay. I'm doing surprisingly well, actually. My friend, he's making fun of me, but I think he's just jealous. He said it's a great year to be drinking the Oregon Kool-Aid because I gave both Oregon and OSU just out of a courtesy out of the new hometown teams. I said you'll get Sweet 16 berths. I knew that OSU was hot coming in, so I actually was a little higher on them. I didn't know a lot about Oregon. I just kind of gave them the benefit of the doubt, and I have them both losing in the first round of Sweet 16, but that definitely separated me from a lot of the people in my pools because not a lot of people had them going past the first round. So that
Oregon
helped me out a lot.
State, especially, that's huge. Yeah, that must have been so cool. The town must love it. It's fun.
It's been pretty nice. I think the town isn't really sold yet on them. They think it's a little bit fool's gold, which maybe it is, but I would enjoy it while it's here personally.
House money, right?
Exactly.
Take it while it lasts. Yeah.
And I feel I'm almost regretful. I have Nova losing to Baylor in the next round. Tell me about your Wildcats. How confident are you? Because now I thought it was smarter than most to give them these first 2 wins, but they look nice. And I think I maybe undersold them a little bit.
No, I think you are smarter than most to have them going this far. So I had them beating Winthrop because Seth Davis on the selection show said immediately as the matchup came out, oh, Winthrop's going to come away from that one. So I said, no, Seth, don't get ahead of yourselves there. I had them beating Winthrop, and I had them losing to Purdue in the second round. And I think that would have happened if North Texas hadn't beat Purdue, but that's not the case. Then Villanova went out and beat North Texas. I'm not feeling super great about the matchup against Baylor just because I think Baylor is the second best team in the country, and it's tough going up against them without Colin Gillespie. But
that hurts.
They've made it so far. I think they have had one of the easier routes so far because, again, North Texas beat Purdue, so that's not a fluke. And Winthrop was really hot coming in. They were a popular upset pick. But I think it'll be tough. They're going to have to play a flawless game against Baylor, and they had a pretty flawless game against North Texas. So to do that 2 games in a row would be tough.
It'll be tough. Now, you can never really count out Jay Wright, especially once he gets past this, the Sweet 16.
Yes.
Do you have them winning in any of your brackets?
No, I don't.
Oh.
I don't. I am a horrible fan, but I didn't have them making it into the Sweet 16 in any of my brackets.
Wow. You're letting your Nova Nation down.
I know. And I'm repping too. So I'm doing it here.
You're not allowed to buy a t-shirt if they make it all the way.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. But I will say, I think the 2 most important things to succeed in the tournament, having a good coach, check, and having time to prepare, check. So Jay Wright, I think, is going to pull some stuff out of his sleeve, and maybe they surprise Baylor.
I think they could. And there was like a month stretch where they played twice or some so crazy number, right? Because all the COVID issues.
Yeah, Baylor and Villanova, actually. Yeah.
I think I have I went with the strategy of picking a team that no one else probably picked.
Mm-hmm.
I have Houston going all the way and taking the tournament.
The entire tournament?
Yes.
Over Gonzaga.
Yes. That's
Wow.
literally over Gonzaga in the finals.
That's a niche pick. Hey, what about Houston?
I'm going to be like, so I didn't have a lot of, I've been really didn't have a lot of time to do a lot of like college basketball research and watching this year. But just when I was picking my bracket, they were, I think they held opponents to one of the lowest scores of anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a good record. They had a good record against top teams. And it was kind of a bullshit gut feeling after that. But my thought process was, you know, if I'm right, or if Gonzaga loses and I have someone that's not Gonzaga, I'm
You're
above
ahead.
most of the other people. So, and
No,
it's,
I like that.
It's a dark horse.
No, it's one thing to pick teams, or the whole thing is that if you say that an upset's going to happen, or if everybody flocks to an upset pick, then that's not going to happen. So you might as well just go strongly into an upset pick. No, I mean, they were in a lesser known conference, right? But they have a bunch of good players. They have Syracuse, which I do think is a tough matchup because the coaching experience that I just said earlier.
Yeah.
You don't want to go up against Jim Boeheim ever, I don't think. But they have a good offense. They have a good defense. They're good at offensive rebounding. I think they can break the zone that Boeheim always has. And if they can throttle some of those shooters, Syracuse isn't as strong as a team as they've looked.
No, absolutely. I was sweating bullets watching that Rutgers game. Even a part of me was like kind of rooting for Rutgers because you always got to root for the underdog.
Exactly.
And it would have been a cool story. And the way they finished that game, I think Rutgers lost that game more than Houston won. I don't know if you were to watch that one particularly, but
I have the score. It was 63-60. I think I cut bits and pieces. It was close enough where Rutgers was ahead a lot of the time, right?
They were ahead late in the fourth quarter by like 7, and the announcer, I don't remember who it was, kept bringing it up. They were kind of trying to like chew clock as if they were up like 12 with 30 seconds left, and they were up like 6 or 7, and they would let the shot clock wind down, and then if they missed the shot, Houston would come up and score again, and like they were just taking time off and letting the score chomp up. So they kind of mismanaged it, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're rooting for them, of course. Yeah, I think they are a team where you can't turn the ball over and you can't mess around with the clock like that because they're good in transition, offense and defense, and they're going to exploit those mistakes. And a lot of teams are the same exact thing too. What
team has what surprised you, a little dark horse team that you didn't see playing as well as they have?
Oral Roberts. Right? Oh. That's the pretty obvious pick. I won't talk about them because that's a cop-out, but I mean, to be honest, the scorers they have, I think, are supremely underrated. I'll say one that I'm not going to give myself credit and say that I expected them, but Loyola Chicago should have been a 3 or 4 seed. And the fact that they were an 8 seed coming into this tournament, they went out and beat Illinois and weren't down once all game long. I think that should show people that this seeding was off because Loyola Chicago is really, really legit.
Absolutely. They kind of, as I was going through it, fooled me with the seeding. Well, I mean, I kind of bought into Illinois a little more than I just did Loyola. And
me too.
As most people did. I try to imagine, I think it's funny that imagine being like a player on Loyola and working so hard all season and grinding and training, doing everything right. And then people congratulate Sister Jean for your win. I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me.
I've said it before on a podcast, but one of the funniest tweets I've ever seen is somebody wrote, Sister Jean could probably use her powers to cure world hunger or make world peace, and instead she uses them towards college basketball and people are fine with it. So as long as she is looking over them, I think they're okay.
Yeah, I don't know what sort of power she has, but they're taking on my OSU Beavers next week, so it's
I mean, Oregon State, as good as they looked so far, I think Loyola Chicago is a lock for the Final Four, but you never know. But I did want to mention the question you asked earlier. Creighton is a team that I did not expect to make it this far, and I've watched a lot of them this season because they've been in the Big East, and they looked absolutely terrible in the Big East tournament game when they got crushed by Georgetown, and that's why Georgetown was such a popular upset pick against Colorado in the first round. But they have Marcus Zagorowski. I saw something where he's one of 3 players all time to have 100 assists, 100 rebounds, and shoot over 42% from 3. Don't quote me because I'm not sure if that's specifically that, but something absolutely historic like
Either
that.
way,
It's happened.
yeah,
It's happened 3 times, and he's done it twice.
wow.
So I think he's pretty underrated. And when Creighton has an off night like they did against Georgetown, the sky falls, and people think that that's what they look like now. They're very bad from the free throw line, but when they are shooting well, it doesn't look like they have a lot of weaknesses. That being said, you can't expect to shoot 45% from 3 every single day. And I don't think Ohio was an easy matchup for them. I actually had Ohio beating Creighton. I had Creighton beating UC Santa Barbara. But
Did you have Ohio beating Virginia?
yes,
Wow.
because of the whole COVID situation with UVA.
Okay.
Because they only got there a day before they played, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, that's a smart pick then.
Yeah. But I didn't root for Creighton during the season, obviously, because they were going up against Villanova, and it's nice to see them do well in the tournament to rep the Big East. But unfortunately, they don't have a chance against Gonzaga. But I have been surprised at how well their scoring distribution has worked out. I think all 5 of their starters score in double digits, which helps. They have good bench depth, which helps. They're good on defense, which helps. Everything has kind of been falling perfectly, and that doesn't always happen in the tournament.
Absolutely not. And I want to get into your Final Four picks in a second, but we'll end with that. Quick question. Do you have any glasses around you?
I'm actually at my mom's desk, and she does have glasses, but...
Perfect. Keep them handy if you can find them.
Okay, I'll keep my eye out. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
Oh, this glasses case is open. That would have, I mean, empty. That would have been perfect.
It's misleading. It's full.
Oh, I do.
Okay, just keep
they're
them on the desk.
terrible though.
It's okay.
They're embarrassing. Whatever.
Just keep them ready.
Okay.
We'll bring them up later. Let's switch gears real quick. I don't want to keep you up too late. I know it's East Coast time. It's late at night for you. Let's talk about baseball. You've been doing your previews every day, so we don't need to get too in depth.
Mm-hmm.
Just tell me, what are you just most excited about for this season?
Oh, I love
player,
baseball.
A team, anything.
Yeah, I'm so excited for the season to start. I think spring training has been as quote unquote normal as we could have expected it to be. Today was actually a really tough injury day. Eloy Jimenez went down on the White Sox. Nick Anderson went down on the Rays, and Kirby Yates went down on the Blue Jays a few days ago. But a team I'm really excited to watch is the White Sox, because I think they have one of the highest ceilings of any team in baseball, because they have so much still pretty much unproven talent in Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez, who unfortunately we won't see that much of because of that injury. But even somebody like Lucas Giolito, who pitches in a smaller market and just came onto the scene a couple seasons ago, he threw a no-hitter last year. And that was, I feel like, when people really saw him for the first time. So I'm really excited about the White Sox. The Padres, obviously, I don't think you can not put Padres and exciting in the same sentence. They have so much talent besides just Fernando Tatis Jr.
I mean, they have this super team of a starting rotation now.
Exactly. And they went out, and it's one thing to be in a wide open division like the NL Central this year, that I keep saying I think is going to be a NFC East rematch, and you're very familiar with that, honestly, obviously. But it's one thing to go out and have a huge offseason in a division race that you can capitalize on. The Padres have the Dodgers to go up against, and the Dodgers are the best team, or the Dodgers were the best team in baseball last year, and then they went out and got better this offseason, and the Padres still went all in to try up and go up against them. And the best they're going to do is a wild card berth in the postseason. So it's crazy but I mean, I think Preller wins Executive of the Year already. They're going to be really exciting to watch if everybody stays healthy.
So you don't even think, as good as they are and the great moves they made, the Padres have a chance of taking that division over the Dodgers?
Maybe a chance, but I mean, 4 of the Dodgers' 5 starting pitchers this year have already won a Cy Young, and the 5th guy is Walker Buehler, who just hasn't won a Cy Young yet.
Yes.
So when you have pitching that is that good, along with Betts and Bellinger and Turner and Muncy, I've said it before, I just am excited to see how many records this team is going to break. And the Padres, you could say the same thing, right? And their rotation is just as good, if not slightly better, with Darvish and Snell and Clevenger when he comes back next year. I just think the Dodgers are too experienced at this point.
I mean, that's fair. The Padres are kind of younger in that realm, and the Dodgers have that experience over them. But talent-wise, I'd say you give it to the Dodgers, but not by much.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I mean, do you expect the thing is too, Cody Bellinger had a down year last year. Max Muncy had a down year last year. So you're expecting those guys to rebound, right? And then Fernando Tatis was already at his peak. Machado was already at his peak. I think there's always going to be peaks and valleys along with every team. But the Dodgers have a proven track record of success, and the Padres don't right now. In the future, that's going to change. But it's still, I mean, even though I give the Dodgers the edge, I think it's going to be one of the best races to watch, the NL West.
Absolutely. So speaking of a rebound year, give me just a couple MVP names you want to throw out here now.
In the NL, both?
Let's start NL and then we'll go AL.
Okay. You got to say Fernando Tatis. I'll say, can I say a Cy Young too?
Sure.
Brandon Woodruff on the Brewers. He's very underrated, but his stuff is super elite. And he's, again, going to play in a pretty weak division where he can kind of bully the Reds and the Pirates and some of those. I think we'll get
kind of a couple, as easy comes in the MLB, a couple easy wins.
Exactly. And again, as easy comes is the perfect way to put it. I think Bryce Harper is going to have a huge year, and I'm not just saying that to make you happy.
I freaking hope so.
I think Freddie Freeman could have another big year. Yeah, there are a lot, and I didn't even mention anybody on the Dodgers like Bellinger or Will Smith, their catcher. I think is going to be really, really elite. You could say the same thing about Real Muto too. There are so many guys.
Give me a couple AL names.
Okay, AL. So I'm a Red Sox fan. I'm going to give my guy Xander Bogaerts some credit here because the names are obviously, and I also should have said Francisco Lindor on the Mets. I think it's going to be an MVP candidate this year. So before, when Lindor was in the AL, you obviously have a very top-heavy shortstop class anyway, especially with all these guys coming into free agency next year, like Javi Baez and Corey Seager and all those guys. Xander Bogaerts' name just gets kind of forgotten, and he's actually top in a lot of offensive and defensive categories. And it's just because somebody else goes out and has an unbelievable year that people forget about him. So I'm going to say that maybe this year he can be the best of the best. So he'll be up there. Trout will be up there as always. If Shohei Ohtani is healthy, he can be up there. He is absolutely electric to watch. I was watching the Angels spring training game today, and he hit a home run in his first at bat. So if he stays healthy, man.
I'm glad you brought him up because, and I think you talked about this the other day, I saw on your podcast. I think to me, and his health has kind of put him out of people's minds.
Yeah.
I think he is one of the most impressive athletes in any sport right now that we're seeing. Because one of the classic arguments is that the hardest thing to do in sports is to hit a baseball. Mm-hmm. The fact that he is even starter quality on both sides of the ball. I mean, when was the last time we've seen anything like that?
Yeah, Babe Ruth.
Seriously.
Over a century ago. Yeah.
So, he may not be as impressive as a Michael Phelps or Simone Biles physically, but in terms of talent, he is one of the most impressive athletes when healthy that I think we're seeing right now.
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah, Simone Biles is in almost her own category. Serena Williams kind of you put there too. Patrick Mahomes, in terms of athleticism, somebody like Ohtani doesn't get to flash that as much in the obvious sense, as in Patrick Mahomes can run around and show that. But the fact that he is able to throw over 100 miles per hour and then hit a home run over 450 feet, that literally hasn't happened in over a century.
It's mind-blowing because when you think about the National League, some of the best pitchers in the game of all time, maybe, if they make contact, people are clapping for him, But he's starter quality hit. they hit him on his off days. It's something I feel like we're kind of numb to it, even though he's only been in the league a couple years. It's the more I think about it, the more it blows my mind.
The other thing is that he is that amazing, and he's the second best player on the team that he's on because he plays on the Angels with Mike Trout.
That's true.
But no, I truly, when he is playing, the game of baseball is better. And there are only a few people that you can say that about. I mean, Mike Trout, Fernando Tatis, Shohei Ohtani. Those are the guys that popped into my head. So
absolutely,
if people can see him,
I would throw Aaron Judge in there too.
True, when he's healthy.
When he's healthy, the game is better.
Yeah, he could have a big year too. I mean, he's getting on 30. People forget that, and he has only had a few healthy seasons where he's been able to reach that potential. But him and Stanton, if healthy, could be MVP candidates this year too.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you know, but I am a Yankees fan as well to my Philly fandom.
I think I actually did know that. Yeah, interesting mix, but
it is an interesting mix, and that to me that Stanton and Judge combination just seems like, like the best relationship that never was, and it's I really hope they have a healthy season, at least 75-80% of it, but even as a baseball fan, it's been disappointing because when they're both healthy together, which has been however many, 20, 30 games.
Yeah.
It's a lineup to be messed with. So it's exciting baseball.
100%. And it must be so frustrating as a fan to shell out that much money, especially to somebody like Stanton, to only see him in flashes. But I mentioned this on my Yankees preview. I am a diehard Red Sox fan, and DJ LeMahieu is one of my favorite baseball players. He is that good of a player that I am okay putting him in that category because he revolutionizes.
If you love baseball, you have to love DJ LeMahieu.
Exactly.
And I think, go ahead.
I was just going to say, as a failsafe, if Judge and Stanton do get hurt, you got guys like Voit who could hit 40 homers. You got guys like Urshela who can do just fine. Clint Frazier is going to do just fine. So you guys will be okay.
It's a crazy deep team. They always seem to fall short in the playoffs these past couple of years. We'll see how it goes this year. I think, to me, I don't know what the odds. I think Aaron Judge is higher Vegas odds. LeMahieu, I think, is a more likely MVP candidate than Judge because he was on that train for the shortened season until he got hurt. So I think he's a name you should watch out for as well.
Totally. And I think if they do give him the award, it'll be so good for baseball because it's not just that he hit 59 home runs. And that's an incredible feat on its own, but it's also that he can hit 340 and hit to all spots on the field and play really good defense too. He's such a pure hitter, and you can say the same stuff about Mike Trout too.
Absolutely. I mean, I grew up watching Derek Jeter, who's, one of the purest hitters there is. And it's just, and I love home runs, don't get me wrong, but it's so refreshing just to see someone who's up there to get on base, especially in today's game.
Yeah, completely agree. If he can stay healthy, I think the Yankees will be fine no matter what.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So we will wrap up here. I want to give you an option. You can either pick one or do both.
Okay.
I either want you to give me your March Madness Final Four with your winner and the score, or your World Series prediction and how many games.
Okay, I'll do both.
You'll do both? All right. And you got to throw the glasses on.
Okay. They're really embarrassing glasses, but I'll do them.
They can't be. There's no way.
You had goggles on once in your video, so I feel fine doing this.
I did have goggles.
Okay, so I'm giving you my final two here.
Yes.
All right, my mic just fell a bit. Okay. So.
Put them on. Perfect. I'll put them on with you. Here we go.
Can't really see, but. Okay. So, in the final two, or actually I'll say my final four, you will see Gonzaga, Alabama, Baylor, and Loyola Chicago.
Wow.
The final will be Gonzaga and Baylor, and the score will be 85-78 Gonzaga. Gonzaga will be the first team to go undefeated since 1976, and you can believe me because I'm wearing these glasses.
Perfect. You even know what to say. That's fantastic. Wow. Oh my goodness.
All right, so that's one. I got to give my eyes a break there.
Yeah, take a second. Reset.
Bring it back.
Yep. Riding the Zag wave. I love it.
Yeah, I'm riding it. I would be truly floored if they lose. truly floored. Baseball. I have my picks pretty much set up now until I think 2024. But this year in 2021, I'll put these back on now.
Let's put them back. Okay, here we go.
So I'm going to mention that I think the Braves and the Dodgers will meet up in the NLCS. I don't think the Padres are going to make it this year. So Braves, Dodgers, NLCS, Yankees, Astros, ALCS. Astros are going to come back even though they don't have good pitching. So I'm saying that here, but they're still going to make it because of their hitters.
That's a smart pick.
And in the World Series, you will have the Dodgers. I don't remember the last time a team went back-to-back. The Dodgers will go back-to-back in 6 games over the New York Yankees.
Wow.
2021 champions, Los Angeles Dodgers. Oh, and you can believe me because I'm wearing these glasses.
You can believe her. You can trust her because she's got the glasses on. Dodgers over my Yankees in 6. First back-to-back World Series champs since probably the Yankees.
In 01, right? 01, 02? Is that the year?
Or it might have been 2000, 2001,
yeah,
or late 90s. I was a child. But either way, wow. I would love to see it get to that point. I hope we'll go a different direction. But I'm so excited. I love seeing all your stuff, on Twitter, on social media, everything. If you're not listening and watching the Did You Hear podcast, do it. If you're not following Blue Wire Hustle and Blue Wire podcast, do it because they're the next big thing. Spend all your money at sports gambling. What's the name of the app again?
Simple Bet.
Simple Bet. Waste it all there. It'll be worth it. Emma, thank you so much. It was great catching up. This was awesome.
That was awesome, Noah. Thanks so much for having me on.